Welcome to the Retro21 Studios podcast. I'm your host, M Squared. Today, I am joined with Lee Hong. How are you, Lee?
Hey, I'm good, Michael. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Hey, Lee called me, what was it, about a month ago? And we're in the Berkeley AI Strategy and Applications course.
Yes.
And just unexpectedly, you called and you've been calling other classmates. Let me let you introduce yourself further and let's talk more about the course and where we think we could go with this.
Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for having me here. First time in a live session. Excited.
Absolutely.
Folks, Lee Hong here. I'm from the Bay Area. Right now, I work in the CTO office of a NVIDIA AI solution partner for like over 2 decades. I came to this company from pure software background, right? Because I realized for the first time in a long time, if you're a technical guy like me and Michael, you know that for a long time, nobody cares about hardware. Everything is an EC2 instance, right? But I think AI really makes hardware front and center. And also it's not something you can get from Best Buy or Amazon, right? Even with all the cash. Mm-hmm. So I'm really excited to join this company. It's close to where I live and also give me access to all the NVIDIA stuff, right? The 35,000 GPU. It's like a Tesla, just like a small car. But then I realized as I'm getting older, I realized there's more than just technology itself, right? Mm-hmm. It's also how does a technology evolves, impact humans' life, right? And even how we can leverage product or technology for our own self, for our own benefit, right? So I think that's the same reason I joined this Berkeley AI class, right? Because the title is very strategy and also business applications, right? Because I really joined the class with open eyes, just want to see how people in the main street view and see and play with the AI, right? With all those marketing hooplas, whatever goes on TV and that. Yeah, and time flies, right? That was the last year, Michael, right? And then this year, just like a life, right? All of a sudden, I'm like, I probably want to reach out to all my classmates, right? Because if I want to learn something about AI, those are the folks most likely knows what is going on because those are the people who spend the money, spend the time, finish all the homework assignments, join all the office hours, and go through how long that is? 6 months? Yeah. I'm so glad Michael responded to me, and we had a wonderful chat. I think to me, the best part of this is it's just go back to basic internet 101. Two strangers hit off, had a wonderful chat without knowing each other forever, different location, different career, different major. But hey, we had such a wonderful chat. And that's really bring us here again. Michael, back to you. I'll let you run the show.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. And a lot of what we talked about in the conversation, some of it was in the back of my mind. So when I joined the program, we're all in the technology field doing various things. And just to join that course and experience the different perspectives from people, you look at their titles, there were some introductory sessions. And I'm like, I really would love to reconnect with some of these folks. And I did contact a couple of the professors. One gentleman, he runs the robotics company, and I was wanting to bring him on for a podcast. And so when we spoke, it just brought back a lot of what I planned. You know what happens to a good plan oftentimes, you get sidetracked. Yep. And the course was rigorous, right? So You're trying to complete those modules, try to get graded. We're working.
Yes.
Right? So all those aspirations of doing those great podcasts were pushed aside. So we're done with that one now. And I'm also done with I was foolish enough to take on another program through MIT in data engineering. And so I'm done with that as well. I'm really looking forward to this. I think there's great opportunity, great synergies. Yep. And one of the things I think is really exciting about this is that we could actually talk about the program, and then we could talk about how it's impacting our lives, right? Our professional lives. How are we applying it? And just providing a broader perspective around AI, because that was the fundamentals around the course.
Yes, 100%. One thing I would want to quickly highlight, like you mentioned there, it's rigorous, right? And even for us, we have the families, everything together. We still have to go through all the course, video session, assignment, etc. And I think it's going to be such a loss if we don't come together, right? Bring back all the things we have known before the class, right? We reflected during the class, and now, right, we are a year after the class, right? What happened to us in the real life? To me, it changed a lot, right? From where we learned the class, all the technology involved, right? And even our own job, how much AI started to play a bigger and bigger role one way or the other. It's just amazing. I think we can make this such a kind of a interactive session for everybody.
Absolutely. This is fantastic. One of the things that we talked about was some of the applications of AI. Again, it's very broad. Right?
Mm-hmm.
AI has been around for a long time. The generative aspects are new and really continuing to explode. And so you have a few audiences, right? A few use cases around those audiences. So people who are out there, I still don't understand what this whole AI thing is all about. Should I get involved? How do I get involved?
Mm-hmm.
You have professionals, right? Folks who are in the technology field and they're rapidly taking courses. And then there's other ones who are knee deep, right? They're building language models and they're working on the hardware side. And so there's this broad scope, right? And I think a lot of that will come through these podcasts that we plan in the near future.
Yeah, I think once we talk about in our phone call, hey, this is a down-to-earth, unscripted, just podcast chat.
That's right.
And we just talk about how AI really work and what does AI really mean for folks, right? This is more like almost back to the old days of internet, right? Mm-hmm. What does the internet mean?
That's right.
To this day, I'm still a big fan of Craigslist, right? Look at the interface. It's so internet back in 20, 30 years ago.
Craigslist hasn't changed a lot, right?
Right? But also, it's always amazing to me how people trust each other on Craigslist. Mm-hmm. I give you my address, you come over, look at the things I put up for sale. You like it, you take it, you drop the $5 in my mailbox. If you don't like it, you leave there, right? It's just amazing. And to me, I really feel our chat, right, over the phone, right, since out of nowhere and to where we are talking about today, I just want to really enjoy this spirit of this trusting each other, share without reservation, and just help each other and have a fun time.
Absolutely. You're involved with what is considered the foundational aspects of AI, right? We talk about hardware,
yes,
and software, but now you're talking NVIDIA. NVIDIA is all over the news, in various ways. And so tell us a little bit more about what you're up to in that space.
Before I joined this company, right, this company is very much focused on the hardware and infrastructure side, right? Things like, which I would not bother for a long time. Things about, for example, not only hardware, GPU, server, but also like a power, cooling, networking. The things is so foreign to most engineer folks, like software folks like me, right? My boss, the CTO, gave me lots of room and trust in terms of, hey, people buying hardware for the sake of software, right? Go figure, go explore what people are up to, what NVIDIA is up to on the software side, right? Because eventually, beside all the startups who only need is hardware because they know their software stuff, right? They are working on buying $10, $20 million GPU pod, and they try to be next OpenAI, right? But more so, as mainstream people, it's more about the software, right? They would not even know the difference between A100, H100, whatever, L40S, you name it, right?
Right.
And they do not care. But they would only care what's the interface in front of us. Like the reverse side you just showed me, right? That's what most people cares. And I think there is still a huge gap in that front, right? Mm-hmm. I think ChatGPT really make the name and introduce Gen AI or AI in a practical way to the mainstream market. Mm-hmm. And I think to this day, it's still that most of the time it's ChatGPT, right? I think it still hasn't evolved, but I hope it's coming soon into our day-to-day lives. Right. For example, I would hope there is a plugin in Outlook or Gmail, right? Automatically goes through my inbox, right? Mm-hmm. For every income new email, check the sender's history with me. Is that a spammer or someone sending me an email for the first time or someone been in talking to me, my own office for the past year, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. hopefully figure out how to respond to that email. Or if that person asking me for something, right? Can you dig out the information from my inbox to give me the draft for me to take a look and just click send?
Just
right?
So much time.
Right? Because
Yeah,
you think,
right.
oh, Michael sending me this email here talking about Project X. Let me search where the Project X is going, happened 2 weeks ago. It's always such kind of a knowledge retrieval. And I think that's really where you may heard the word retrieval, augmented, right? Thing, it's such a word. So
Right.
I think there's so much potential out there. And I think it's exciting. And I think it's also going to benefit everybody. Really look forward to it.
Yeah, and it's interesting you mentioned that a lot of folks aren't really concerned with what's happening on the hardware side, on the infrastructure side. And part of that is the beauty of the cloud, right? And it's promoted as such.
You're
when
right.
you think of it's this magical space and everything's and in reality, right, you still have the same hardware. It's just in a different location through the beauty of networking and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So that's fascinating to me because, and in some ways, from an efficiency perspective, so if you think years ago, I remember we're working on our computers and you had to set up the back office, right? You're setting up the network and you're doing your updates and loading new software, all that good stuff. And that's super time consuming. And I remember working for a smaller organization and we had to do it all.
Oh,
you had to do your day to day, but then, okay, we needed Microsoft just came out with a new update for the back office. So you're back there spending a half a day doing updates and they don't go right the first time. Something's going to go sideways.
That's so true. That's so true. I related a story there, right? I remember in my last startup, right? Because our monthly cost from Amazon is getting so much, right? I ended up buying 8 Dell R720, right? Server of Arkin Craigslist, right? So hey, let's just run those basic things that we can run off Amazon, right? We can still keep the high-end stuff, so all the kind of the high-end EMR, whatever workload in Amazon, but let's do the basics just in our office. And my engineer team, right, most of them young graduates, right, Berkeley, UPenn, they never seen a CPU before, enterprise CPU. I remember the day we opened the chassis because the CPUs are old. So I bought an additional CPU compatible off Craigslist again. I'm gonna upgrade, right? They never changed the CPU before.
Wow.
Right? I said, hey, here this is called a thermal paste. You have to spray it on, put on the heat sink, but it's fun. Back to your point, right? That's so I think on that front, I'm really excited actually hardware become relevant again because it's just part of life. I cannot imagine. I think without hardware, computer is almost only like half left. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So on that hardware side, so I'm thinking back. So I took another Berkeley course, and that was in cryptocurrency and blockchain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the cornerstone of that was what? The compute power.
Yes.
And so as we talk about AI, we talk about cryptocurrency, blockchain, compute power is king, right?
All of a sudden, yeah, you are so right. Actually, you bring a great point. I think probably crypto is probably the first wave of technology reminding people, in a sense, how critical electricity is. Obviously, it is critical, right? We cannot run dishwasher without electricity. Right. But I think practically, technology-wise, most people don't care because it's given. It's a utility. You turn on, you have it. Right. But I think crypto is the first one, like you said, you need a real power.
It all boils down to that compute power. And so that's what's at the forefront with respect to AI, right? When you're talking about robotics, when you're looking at cars such as Tesla and the amount of data that's coming off of that and the decision-making that's happening.
Yes. I remember one of the internal training session I did for the company. There was this kind of a really cool slogan from a guy, I cannot remember his name, right? He said, data is the new oil, right? You probably heard that too, right? Data is the new oil, right?
That's right.
But I think the challenge is that before AI comes along, people have no capability to refine those oils, right? There's just so much data. I think that's why people coming from database to data warehouse to data lake, right? I don't know what you have today, like maybe data ocean, right?
That's right.
But now with AI and also the computing powers, right? Everything goes to now. Suddenly people realize, geez, I can handle data, bring more. I think we haven't seen this because before, if you think about all those data lake, all that stuff, it's more like sort of like a headache, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have so much data, you are going from terabytes to petabytes, right?
Yep.
But now suddenly, this is the first time ever, to me, the people are saying, oh, I need more data to train my model,
Mm-hmm.
right? Video,
right.
text, whatever you have, bring it on. Maybe that's another thing to your point. It just also, I think, also almost like another side of things to describe power.
That's right.
It's just amazing. AI, I think AI is bringing so many pieces now suddenly in a very united way together.
That's right. Yeah, and with respect to training models and having access to power, we're talking about cloud computing. So I have to say that. So I took after the Berkeley course, I took the MIT in
You are
data
crazy,
engineering.
man.
It was insane, right? So it was a nice deep dive. But what happened after that, it really boils down to the conversation that you and I had, right? You started cluing me into NVIDIA. But when you turned me on to the NVIDIA Academy, the NVIDIA developer tools, I hopped right on. And it was a great segue from the MIT course. Right now, I'm working on a language model course.
Okay.
And I was able to tap into GPU power via cloud. Right?
Yes.
And you just make the call and boom, when OpenAI trained their first model based on the corpus of the internet up to 2021 or whatever it was,
right?
How long that took. And so now you're able to take that same use case if you were to apply that under today's standards. And it sounds like we're talking about deep history. we're talking about a couple years or so.
You are right. You are right. Sort of remind me of the. I think there's such an interesting aspect of those speed and power, different use case. For example, I'm a computer guy because I don't have time to play games. I just using my home computer just for basic office stuff. And I tell you, I'm also a cheap guy. I would using Mac.
Right.
Because I find out Mac is the one that's really stable, right? I basically just buy secondhand Mac off Craigslist. And today I'm still using a Mac Air 2015.
Really?
Good enough.
Excellent.
Just for my office email, PowerPoint, because that's all I do at home. And even some basic codings. But then think about the other side, like you said, right? You have to train the model. That computing power you're gonna be requesting compared to a 2015 MacBook, it's just a day and a night.
That's right.
And I think in that regard, I think AI also really gonna be a revolutionary driving force for the IT overall, because suddenly there is a real legit demand for computing power. Right? To an extent, if you look at the latest NVL 7.2 GPU rack from NVIDIA, each rack is like 1 megawatt, right? It's just one rack. And typically, the old data center, typically each rack you get 15, so like 1/10. No, not 1/10. It's like 1% of the power that would be needed to power a GPU rack of NVIDIA today. It's just crazy how things got spread out with use case on one end of the spectrum. The other end, you talk about a GPU, you call it GPU from the cloud, like you said, you train things like this.
Compute power, comparatively speaking, is probably it's just a fraction of what's going on out there. And what you can do is go out there if you want to make a couple dollars mining Bitcoin, which is tough. You join a miner's farm, right? So they have all of these arrangements out there where you buy in, right, at a fractional amount, and then you're collectively mining. So and that's where the term comes from. If you're in the gold rush days,
it's
like, hey man, this is a really difficult area to mine, so let's get a bunch of people and we're going to share in the profits. But
it's like co-op, right? It's something like start a co-op.
That's right.
And yes, and I think you are making great comparable, right? I think it's not surprising then again, if you look at those kind of big miner companies who are actually now moving into AI. What's the company name? Like the one from East Coast, CoreWeave, right? Because I'm not much into crypto, right? So that means before their name become a thing after they raise lots of money from NVIDIA, etc., I never heard of the company before, right? All of a sudden, it's a unicorn, right?
That's right.
And to your point, because they already have infrastructure with the power, cooling, even NVIDIA GPU, right? It's already there. It's just, that's a great comparable. And I have heard since many miners now seeing AI just another Bitcoin in a way.
Right.
And I think even Jensen Huang himself said that, right? He said, in a sense, like crypto mining, you got coins, right? He said AI mining, you got token.
It's this is such a fascinating area, and that's what I look forward to future podcasts where we could hone in on a particular area of focus or interest and really deep dive and gain some really good perspective. Thank you, Lee, for joining in, and for everyone listening, take care.